Voltamos, pessoal, com a live. E falta 15 minutos pro lançamento. Daqui a pouco vai começar. Vou colocar aqui nesse, pessoal, que é melhor. Vendo as melhores aqui. Spacex, mesma coisa.
Good morning from SpaceX headquarters here in Hawthorne, California. This morning's Falcon 9 launch is scheduled for 10:34 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 18:34 Universal Coordinated Time. Our launch window is just under 25 minutes long and closes at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. I'm Lauren Lyons, a senior engineer in our Flight Reliability Department, and welcome to the webcast for the Spaceflight SSO-A Smallsat Express mission. For this mission, we are flying 8 satellites for our customer flight. This is the largest number of payloads ever launched from a US-based rocket. This flight is also particularly exciting for space for another reason. We'll be Falcon 9 booster for the 3rd time. Now, this is the first time we've ever done this, which we'll talk more about. Following the we are to land Falcon on our autonomous transport. Just read the instructions, which is situated in the ocean 50 kilometers away from the launch pad. The second recovery attempt will be to catch our payload fairing with a large net on our boat.
Vai ser do jeito que o dono da SpaceX disse. Vai lançar e vai voltar de novo.
Head around the station. Fortunately, we'll be posting updates on Twitter. Countdown to liftoff.
Hi, I'm Kate Tice, and I'm a program reliability engineer here at SpaceX. We're looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket at our West Coast launch site, Space Launch Complex 4 East, or SLIC 4 East at Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is just a couple hours north of where I'm standing here at our headquarters in Los Angeles. Falcon 9 you see here is 70 meters tall, which is just over 21 stories high, and most notably our first time Falcon 9 here, not one but 2 previous re-entry missions. Multiple reuse is being supported by our Block 5 upgrades that we debuted earlier this year. Our Block 5 rockets are designed to be capable of 10 or more flights with no scheduled refurbishment. Here, which this. The successful this morning, this booster launched from SpaceX launch 49 and now for Easter, which makes today's mission the very first SpaceX launch pad hat trick. So in our 17-foot in diameter fairing here, we have 64 satellites. As mentioned, this fairing we will be attempting to recover it today. Hopefully today we can actually manage to snag it. This attempt we will be aiming to catch it and recover the fairing in the supersized net that you see there on our recovery ship called Mr. Steven. That's currently stationed in place out in the Pacific Ocean in preparation for today's attempt. Now we are early in our efforts to our fair to successful. Teams are as we count down to liftoff in just over 10 minutes. At T-minus 1 hour, the satellites were transferred to internal power, meaning they were no longer drawing power from the ground. And Falcon 9 has been loading propellants since T-minus 35 minutes. Our fuel, RP-1, which is a rocket-grade kerosene, is now fully loaded on the second stage, and RP-1 load on the first stage will close out 6 minutes before launch. Super chilled liquid oxygen, that's our fuel's oxidizer, is currently loading on both stages and will close out on stage 1 and stage 2 at T-minus 3 minutes and 2 minutes, respectively. The next major activity, which is happening at T-minus 7 minutes, is engine chill. This is when we open up the valves between the first stage propellant tanks and the 9 Merlin engines in order to chill in the turbo pumps. We do this in order to make sure that when that full flow of super cold liquid oxygen to the truss structure next to the rocket, known as the transporter erector, or sometimes called the TE or strongback. It not only transports Falcon 9 from the hangar to the pad and raises it from horizontal to vertical, but it also routes fluids, powers, and telemetry lines to Falcon 9 and to the payload. At about T-minus 4.5 minutes, we will retract the TE away from the rocket slightly, providing clearance for Falcon 9 to lift off. Now regarding liftoff, today's mission is for our customer, spaceflight. With 64 payloads being sent to space, Spaceflight SSOA SmallSat Express is an exciting mission. These include 15 microsats and 49 CubeSats from both commercial and government entities from a total of 17 countries. This orbit, which is what SSO stands for in the mission name. Sun-synchronous orbits travel over the Earth's poles as the planet rotates underneath, with the satellite passing over a particular section of the Earth at the same time each day. Sun-synchronous orbits provide a constant amount of sunlight, which makes them especially good for imaging satellites, of which there are several on today's flight. Let's check out this clip from spaceflight with more info about today's payloads.
At Spaceflight, our mission is to make space accessible to all. We provide the most opportunities anyone on the planet for small sats to get to orbit. The rideshare model makes space really accessible to everyone. This model lowers the barriers to entry for people who want to get small sats on orbit, and this enables all kinds of new business plans to come to fruition by really enabling lower cost launch for everyone. The SSOA mission was all about getting small sats on orbit. They've historically been relegated to secondary payloads. We decided to fill a whole Falcon 9 with small sats, making it cost effective and therefore enabling new technologies, taking an unprecedented number of first-time flyers up. We've got startups, ongoing businesses, space agencies, museums, universities, even a middle school aboard. Missions themselves vary from tech demonstrators to Earth observation, communications to biological experiments. Spacecraft come from 17 different countries, represent the work of thousands of people. A mission this size with 64 spacecraft takes years of planning and draws on our deep expertise in launch. Our engineers designed 2 rings, the upper and lower free flyers, that will separate and deploy their spacecraft in a series of orchestrated maneuvers. Because we have launched over 140 satellites to date, we've experience with nearly every different subsystem and dispenser and are always ready with custom solutions to deployment problems. Our engineers and mission managers were fully up to the challenge of a dedicated mission. Assembling the integrated stack was like putting together a giant, complex puzzle. It was a master effort in project planning, ingenuity, and perseverance that took place in our new state-of-the-art integration facility in Auburn, Washington. Our team also worked with our customers to navigate all the regulatory, licensing, and insurance challenges that come with putting a spacecraft on orbit, particularly for our first-time flyers. Making sure that everything is running smoothly is part of the turnkey service our mission managers provide. Finally, I'd like to say this would not have been possible without SpaceX and the incredible capabilities of the Falcon 9. We all envision a world where small sats are really making a difference. All kinds of applications, Earth observation, new lunar missions, space manufacturing, stuff we can't even dream about. We really want to say how grateful we are to Planet for being a primary on this mission, for SpaceX for enabling it to happen, and for all of our customers that are sharing this ride with us.
As we mentioned, there are 64 satellites on board today. One of these payloads is part of a collaboration between the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, or LACMA, and artist Farris Strachan called Enoch. Enoch highlights the story of Robert Henry Lawrence Jr., the first African-American astronaut. Lawrence passed away in 1967 in an accident during astronaut training, and he was never able to realize old canopic jar, which is the same shape of jars used in ancient Egyptian mummifications. The jar has been mounted with Lawrence's bust on its top, as you can see there. The Enoch sculpture will be sent to orbit, and once in space, it will circle the Earth for 7 years before deorbiting. SpaceX is a founding sponsor of LACMA's Art and Technology Lab, which sponsored the development of this project. We're now heading into the final countdown, so let's get a status update on the rocket.
With just a few minutes to go before liftoff, everything is looking good on Falcon 9. Fuel is fully loaded on both stages, and LOX is getting there as well. At T-minus 1.5 minutes, we will start vehicle gas closeouts. That's completion of all helium and nitrogen gas loading and the closing of all the valves to those systems. Around that time, you'll also see a large cloud of white gas coming out of the TE. This is expected. This is us venting out the liquid oxygen lines on the TE into the air, making sure that excess oxygen at liftoff. 1 minute, this is controlled by the flight computer from then on through launch. Now, as a reminder, if anyone calls a hold on the launch today, we will try again at a later date. Falcon 9 and the payload are currently tracking no issues. The weather is go, the winds are go, and the range is green for an on-time launch today. Now, with 3 minutes to go, let's listen in on the countdown nets.
Stage 1 LOX is closed out.
Muitos brasileiros foram para Flórida assistir o lançamento lá. Um minuto, pessoal.
Stage 2 LOX load is closed out.
Soltando a fumacinha, já desacoplou já. contagem regressiva, pessoal.
Closeouts are complete. Stage 1, pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds.
10, 9, 8,
9, 1.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Falcon 9 has cleared the tower and is now headed upward on its mission to sun-synchronous orbit. Which will
reach maximum aerodynamic.
Maximum aerodynamic structure and rapid down, where stage 2 separates from stage 1, and SES-1 is the ignition of the second. Back towards the drone ship, and then finally we'll see fairing deployment. Cover updates available. So 26 Rico, let's listen in.
That third and Now, as we approach our first stage landing, I'd like to point out that we might lose video coverage out there on our drone ship. There's lots of vibrations as the rocket is coming down towards it, so we might lose our satellite signal. If this is the case, we'll be sure to provide you status updates on that first stage as they become available. We're certainly excited to hear about it here in Hawthorne and across all of SpaceX, as this is the first time that we have are trying to land this for a third time. So there we can see that final landing burn happening. We'll be looking for deployment of the landing legs here momentarily.
Great. Turning on primary.
Here, battle is taking place over